What up, world? I usually tell you all it's your boy, but you know what? It's su muchacho, Tommy D, your boy. That's how you say it in Espanol. Yes, I Googled how to say your boy in Spanish a couple seconds ago. Su muchacho, Tommy D, your guy, the nonprofit sector connector. Coming at you as I do every single Friday. Radio voice coming through, Tommy D. I feel it. Every single Friday, I bring you a leader of a nonprofit organization. I make the journey from the kitchen, 2 flights up the stairs to the attic. I spend much of my time here in the attic. It gets lonely here. I'm so lonely. It's nice when I have friends visit me in the attic. I feel like Mr. Rogers today. I don't know what it is. It's I feel like I'm gonna sing. I probably will sing. We're gonna talk about film today. What is this program about? It's called Philanthropy and Focus. And every single week, I bring to you a leader of a nonprofit organization to do a couple of things, help them tell their story, and amplify their message. Alex Kaplan is all about telling stories. His organization of Substance is all about telling stories. So before we even get into this conversation, we're going to actually, it's going to be like a show and tell today. We're going to watch a video. But Of Substance is an innovative nonprofit that makes premium, entertaining short films to help us overcome the shame, blame, and stigma we experience in our struggles. Second episode ever of Philanthropy and Focus. Dr. Larry Grubler came on this program and said, you know, Tommy D, we all need support sometimes. He runs an organization called Transitional Services for New York, serving 4,000 individuals with mental health issues each and every year. The mental health conversation, we need to end the stigma. Enough of this. I don't curse on the show, but that's BS. This is, if I broke my arm, nobody's going to look down on me when I go to seek healthcare, medical services because I broke my arm. If I'm having mental health issues, we need to stop the crap. We need to stop. We need to hug. We need to love each other. We need to find compassion. And it's organizations like Alex's that are having these conversations, that are bringing this stuff, but that are bringing these topics to discussion. And I think, you know, it is, I can't even say it's still pandemic. I mean, it's August of 2022. But I think the one of the, if you will, silver linings of this era is that we're more aware of the mental health crisis. We're more aware that we need help, we need support. Listen to this statistic right off of the website of substance.org. Teen suicide attempts, rates, and drug overdose deaths, just two examples of emotionally charged forms of self-destruction, are in a dramatic upward trajectory. Well, that's okay. How about some facts and figures? Okay, so I'll give you some. Girls between the ages of 12 and 17 at suicide attempts have increased by 26%, or did increase by 26% during the summer of 2020. Young girls, our children, our babies, 12 to 17 years old. And in the winter of 2021, these rates increased by 50%. People are screaming for help. People are saying we need help. We need to help each other out. I feel the soapbox. I'm here. Hashtag end the freaking stigma. Alex, I'm fired up. I didn't know I was going to be this fired up. I'm feeling it. It's coming through me. The universe is speaking through me. I want to say hello, and then I want to read a little bit about your background, but this is your story. This is the story of the organization. So two things I like to say at this point in the program. Welcome to the show, and welcome to my attic, baby. What's going on?
Thanks, Tommy. What's up, man? It's a lovely attic. I wouldn't know it was an attic if you didn't keep telling me it was an attic.
I know this was like a thing that I started in like March of 2020, and I was like, yeah, I'm in the attic. I'm in the attic. Anytime sees me not in the attic, anytime people see me, they go, dude, you're not in the attic. Is everything okay?
But I also love that, like I think that, we're all trying to hide so many things just because we think that like we have to put on a show. And, we like newscasters are in like, suits while we're doing Zoom newscasting during COVID. And like everybody's getting called out on wearing shorts or just underwear.
Right.
And it's just all of this facade and this appearance. And we're all looped into this. So the fact that, Tommy, you just say it how it is, you're super vulnerable, you're honest all the time. And you're just like, I'm in my attic and I don't give, that's amazing, man.
Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I'll tell you a funny story. Maybe we'll do a couple funny stories today. Yesterday, I'm in the attic all day. First time I put on a shirt and tie, I was talking to another nonprofit organization, some of their leadership organization called I Empathize, which is working on the human trafficking issue. And they have some connections out in LA. So I do want to make a connection because I think they make films as well. So we're not going to get caught up on that. But I told the three folks I was meeting with, I was like, I haven't worn a shirt and tie. It's been super hot in New York. I said, I haven't worn a shirt and tie in like 3 weeks, a month. So I did wear a shirt and tie, but tell everybody the real story. I had on flannel pajama pants, right? So last night I had to go out to meet some folks, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to put on dress pants now. I haven't worn dress pants all day. So I had on a nice button-up short sleeve and some shorts, my dressy shorts. My 7-year-old would say, Dad, those are those dressy shorts. Yeah, they're dressy. They're I don't know if I could play on the golf course with them if they're that dressy, but look, I think that's what we're supposed to be. I think we're supposed to be open and vulnerable and real. And I realize, all this stuff I talk about mental health is because I have my own issues, right on, because we all do. That's the point, everybody. And if we stop trying to cover these things up or shield ourselves and just ask for the help we need, I think we're going to be better off. And not only that, we got to check in on people. Go ahead, Alex, please.
No, if I may, I think that's a perfect segue to let you guys know kind of what I do and what we do at Up Substance, because so I'm sober myself. And the biggest thing I learned in getting sober is that my issue is far less about using substances than it is about why I use substances. And it's about shame, it's about a fear of not belonging, and it's about a fear of not being good enough. None of which is unique to addiction, all of which is just part of being a person. And we all struggle with these feelings of just like inadequacy, these insecurities, right? And we're all coping. But that's just part of the human condition, right? But we're all just coping with it differently. Some of us are control freaks, or we're workaholics, or we're addicted to making money, or we're just like, or we use drugs and alcohol to run away. And so like what we're doing out of substance is we're shining a light instead of on what makes us different, what makes us the same. We're celebrating our common humanity while also just empowering people through what makes us unique. And we're doing that through movies. So I couldn't be more in line with you, dude.
Yeah, man. And it's funny. Like if you're watching on Facebook, you see this cool looking guy, and I don't mean me, although yeah, I'm cool too. But look at this guy, sharp dude, right? Like probably got everything together. He's got all his stuff together, right? Look at that face. I mean, because that's the thing, because I don't think anybody has their stuff, and we try not. It was so good you asked me the other day. You're like, do we curse on the show? Do we not? I mean, I try not to, but the word I'm leaving out is for stuff. I'll say the point I'm trying to make is, look, I too have not had a drink of alcohol in September. Will be 12 years, which is an incredible feat. Thank you, brother. Fist bump. I mean, and why did I drink? Well, I like to drink. I enjoy drinking. But in retrospect, as a 44-year-old man, looking back at what that was in my 20s into my early 30s, 32 when I stopped, it was covering up stuff, man. It was pain. It was covering up pain. It was covering up shame. And as many of us who, have drank, and I am outgoing, and this is the personality, this is pretty much who you get no matter what. I will tell you, even I know people utilize alcohol or other drugs to feel more comfortable in social settings, right? And that's like, I got to go out, I got to do this business thing, I got to network, and sometimes, or oftentimes, I'll say that leads to problem drinking. Look, if somebody can manage their drinking or even their other substance use, I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to say that if it is to cover up the pain and the shame and the fear of not belonging, that's an underlying, as you say, that's the human condition. That's what we're all living through. I was just listening to something. Joe Rogan had a guy on his show called Sam Tripoli, and I was listening to that show yesterday. And this guy, Sam Tripoli, I don't know him. Apparently, he's a comedian and like an influencer guy. And I was listening to them talk about it. Was, if you're familiar with the Joe Rogan podcast, Alex and everybody listening, it's like a 3-hour, it's like a journey that they go down. And one of the things that came up was like, and I say this all the time, and I heard myself saying this earlier this week, where there's this situation where the powers that be, whatever they are, the small group, I think, that runs the world, don't get me going, but it makes sense for them, for us all to be at odds. The rest of us, the world, don't get me going, but it's all good. I like hearing my voice. It's all good. You're raising your hand. I see. We're good. Those people who are at the top, right? Don't get me, again, like the Bilderbergers and the whole thing. If there's so many people at the top that run, or the small group that runs the world, as I see it, I say they need us fighting, and they need us being at odds, and they need us having different perspectives. And these fake lines between countries and separate. How do we separate? And I was visiting with some friends of mine up in the Poconos last week. And one of my friends walked up with a Philadelphia Eagles hat on. And not to make this overkill, but I even thought there, and I'm a New York guy, I don't care if he likes the Eagles, he's a buddy of mine. I like him, right? Like, but even those factions, the more and more factions and separations that there are, the further apart we get from each other, right? Whereas the guy Sam Tripoli on Joe's show the other night just made it comment and said, we have so much more in common than we don't have in common. Like he was talking about a story how he'd been in China and how he'd been performing in China and how great the people were, and they were wonderful people, and they were so caring towards him, and they appreciated what he was doing there. And we're made to believe that people in different parts, different factions, different countries, different races, ethnicities, et cetera, are different, but we're not. Alex, I'm ranting, but it's because I'm trying to get to we're all the same. At the end of the day, we have the same needs. We have the same need for connection. I mean, I had on my show a couple of weeks ago, I did I think I might have told you this, all the episodes were around veterans. And I was talking to veterans nonprofits, and I was talking to a gentleman, and I never met this man in person. And I said at the end of the show, man to man, I was very emotional at the end of the show. I said, he goes, all we need is to know that somebody loves us. And I said, I love you, brother. And that was just because that's the stuff, man. Like we need that. What do you, I have some things about your story, but we can get into it. But what do you say to that? Just let's play there.
No, so that's Of Substance's mission, literally, is working toward creating a world where we all feel more seen, heard, and loved, where you walk into every room knowing that you're already enough. And we're doing that through movies and turning movies into a utilitarian tool to improve behavioral change, emotional growth, and learning. And so I couldn't agree more. And that's why we love movies, right? Is because, movies are never about the circumstance they seem to be about. They're not about the Avengers fighting Thanos, ever, right? They're actually about our universally relatable human experiences and journeys regarding
the hero's journey. Like, are we talking like the Joseph Campbell, the hero's journey, this kind of stuff?
Totally. But the reason the hero's journey is so relatable is because we're all on our own hero's journey. The hero's journey is refusal to the call, a call to action, refusal to the call, accepting the call, first complication, second complication, third complication, and then overcoming, bringing home the sword, the elixir, and then the denouement. But that's just happening over and over and over and over for all of us. That's why it's so relatable, is because life is just a series of conflicts. And so it's really not about avoiding conflicts. It's about learning to better and better improve the way we face them in our daily lives. And that comes down to improving how we feel about ourselves, others, and our beliefs in what's possible. And that's what we're working on through movies.
Do you feel like, and we're going to go to break in a second, but do you feel like we're at a point in history, and maybe this is the only life you and I have known, but do you feel like we as a society, as a race, are at a point where are we really changing, or is it just people like us who feel that we're changing because we're in this type of work and in these types of conversations? Do you think we're waking up? Do you think we're becoming enlightened?
This is the question you asked as we have to go to break.
As we have to go to break. Isn't that cool? Yeah, no, it started. We're just yes or no, and then you can.
Yes, I do. I think we're in a constant state of evolution and change. It just doesn't look like perfect. I honestly think that all change happens as a huge pendulum swing. And so it's just, we're trying perfect is in the center, but we're never really going to reach perfect. We keep going through center and it keeps going to a new extreme. But each time I'm hopeful that it loses a little momentum and comes a little bit more to center as we learn a little bit more about ourselves. This is what we do as individuals, but this is also what we're doing as a society. We're testing the bounds. We're testing the bounds, and we're pushing. And so, yeah, I like to be an optimist and think that we are doing that.
And I will say, we are going to go to a break, and I love how cutely you answered my question. Really, Tommy D, you only asked me, what does life mean, too? Why didn't you ask me that right before break? Why are we here? All right, shout out to Suzanne Taylor King, who somehow connected with Alex, and then connected Alex and I, and we spoke 6-7 months ago, and now we're here. So that's how that all worked. We're going to go to a break. I'll tell you a little bit more. I want to read your bio because I want to set the stage. I want you to tell me your story, how this thing happens, how we get to Of Substance. This show is Philanthropy and Focus. We'll be back in 90 seconds. Quick break.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant. And on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays, 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you on edge? Hey, we live in challenging, edgy times, so let's lean in. I'm Sandra Bargman, the host of The Edge of Every Day, which airs each Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc. Tune in live with me and my friends and colleagues as we share stories and perspectives about pushing boundaries and exploring our rough edges. That's The Edge of Every Day on Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
Oh man, Alex. I see you dancing. I see you rocking out. Did you know the attic part was coming, man?
Yeah, it's awesome. That is so great. Lean in, man. Lean in.
That is lean in. No kidding, man. That's my boy, my Uncle Brendan, as I call him. Why do I call him Uncle Brendan? Well, he's old enough to be my uncle. I tell him, and I love him like family. They don't look anything like me. And uncles couldn't look like, I don't want to call him my dad. He's only like 9 years older than me. Uncle Brendan Levy, Queens Chamber of Commerce, and my buddy, who actually he has a band. They had like a record deal back in the 90s, and they were called The Goods, the name of the band. And now, as older men, they call themselves Damaged Goods. So
better name.
Is that cool? Isn't that cool stuff? So Brendan and I wrote the lyrics. As if you've ever listened to this show, it was, as I like to say, it was like a Lennon and McCartney thing. If that song ever makes any money, it's going to be both of us to whack up the $7 or whatever that song makes. That's how it's going to go.
It's cool. I actually I was in Hawaii, and I first time ever in Hawaii. I don't go to Hawaii a lot, and it was amazing. But I'm always looking for great sounds and water sounds and things like that. And I just recorded a bunch of sounds at creeks and the ocean in the morning at sunrise and different things. And then I figured out how to make these tracks and put them on Spotify, and people are listening to them, and it's really cool. And
so you're a creative, right?
Made $7.
Oh, and somebody bought it?
Well, if people listen to it, you have to post through somebody who manages the music, and then if people listen, you get money. And I'm not trying to get money, so I'm donating the money. But
so cool.
It's great. You never know.
I love it. Certainly the field is leveled. It's a level playing field. It is part in history, right? People have access to do cool things. People have access to create. I had 0 radio shows in the first week of January of 2021. And now I have this show and another show called the Professionals and Animal Lovers Show. The barrier to entry. If you have something you want to talk about, I was listening to a thing by Gary Vaynerchuk the other night. I listen a lot, man. I'm always listening to something. And I was listening, and I was trying to have some of my kids listen. And it was it's about the content. It's about creating content. It's about making an impact. But with Gary had said a long time ago, and it's one of his regular mantras, if you will, it's about, if you're passionate about something, some subject matter, some topic, create content around that. That's philanthropy and focus. This show only exists because I like nonprofits a lot. And I was like, I should give them an opportunity to come on and tell their story. So a couple of things I want to do. I want to shout out my buddy Mick Collins, because we were talking about movies and stuff. He said X-Men is about civil rights, right? I remember that. I remember, the mutants were, they were fighting for civil rights. That's a whole nother discussion, but right on, Mick. It's not just about, I'm not sure which the X-Men are. Is that like Magneto? Is that like, Mick's gonna beat me up if I don't know. Is it the Hulk? I'm not big on those movies, although because I'm a Met fan, shout out Mick. I know I saw the comment about the Mets, but Thor was our guy, Noah Syndergaard. So I know Thor, he's the guy with the hammer. I'm not really, I'll tell you this, Alex, and everybody, I used to buy comic books and put them in the plastic and put the cardboard in and put them away. And like, there's boxes of comic books. They're probably not worth anything because I'm not old enough yet. And I think people were already starting to collect stuff. But I never read comic books. I just like to save them because I thought one day I could retire on hustling and selling comic books. So Alex, I want to read this background. I want you to fill in the details that I miss and that are missed here. Having survived his own challenges with substances, Alex considers himself living proof that by changing your relationship with struggle, you can build a life you envision. And now he supports others doing the same. In his early 20s, Alex had a promising acting career in Manhattan, that's New York City for you all, while bartending at night to get by. I was bartending for many years. Your dad passed away. It says here it sent you into a tailspin. I know some of that. Why don't you pick it up from there and let's talk about that?
Sure. It was twofold. So I was raised really wealthy, really lucky kid. We had 3 homes up and down the East Coast. I had a Z4 BMW as a college kid in the University of Miami. It was silly. And when I was 23, right after I graduated, my dad died. And on the same day that I gave his eulogy at his funeral, we found out we were tens of millions of dollars in debt. Not because of like anything shady, but just because it was 2020, it was 2009, any assets we did have did this. And also he was sick and trying to keep a business going and putting all of our money into that business. And so on the same day that I lost my dad, we lost everything. I lost everything that gave me like that context and that confidence with which I related to the world. And so I just
everything, your whole connection, your whole how you saw yourself and where your place was in life, right? That was now thrown upside down.
It was all gone. So like I was just scared and I didn't know what to do. And I didn't know how to communicate with anybody. I didn't know who I was anymore. I had so much of my identity wrapped in all of those things. And I started drinking really heavily. I dove into a deep bottle of booze and under a huge mountain of cocaine. And I deteriorated and disappeared more and more and more for 4 years until finally I got to a point where I was doing 2 8 balls of cocaine a day and balancing that with 1 to 2 bottles of vodka or gin per day with no sleep for 5 days straight. So that's 10 8 balls and 10 bottles of booze per with no sleep over 5 days.
You were working at the time? You working in the bar business or just kind of?
I was living like 3 blocks from the bar on the Upper West Side. And I just I kept calling out when I got to my worst, when I was doing that lasted for like 4 months. And finally my best friend reached out. He always tried to get me to go out and go to movies and just he was very light touch. And then finally one day he calls, he's like, let's go to a movie. And I am hiding knives in the couch and in the cabinets just in case, because my paranoia was so high, just in case the government broke in. And I'm looking through my peephole all the time.
Oh my God.
It was just that crazy, right? And you're on a there's one direction you're going at this point, and then this is cemetery stuff. I mean, this is how this ends, right? Unless there's some kind of interaction here. But I wasn't dying, that's what kind of hit me. Zach called, he said, let's go to a movie. And I said, I came up with some excuse and he was like, Alex, why are you doing this? And it was the first time anybody kind of put it that way. And I came up with some excuse and I didn't really get it, but it planted this seed of just I'm making a choice to do this. Maybe there is a different choice. And it started to just awaken me a little bit and make me realize that maybe there was something I could do about this. Maybe I wasn't stuck. Maybe this was in my power, right? And it started this very long process of just being more and more aware and peeling off the onion, accepting something's wrong, right? And just not even accepting that I have a specific problem with alcohol, but something is wrong. And I should actually explore that because I was stuck in I still go to my group. And last night we were talking about decision versus ambivalence. And we were talking about how when we're using alcohol and we're using drugs, like it's such a good way to avoid making decisions. And when we're not making conscious decisions, we are only existing, we're not really living. And so it's we talked about how like being afraid of making decisions, being afraid of making the wrong decision and a failure defining you, which they don't, keeps us from doing anything we really want. And it gets us to start using different things to cope with, to forget that we're afraid, to forget that these things. And so you start using alcohol to run away, like often, right? It leads to problem drinking. But then once we're in it, like that's where it gets so interesting. It's just societally for all this time, there's so much stigma around the idea of decision versus ambivalence in addiction, right? It's just like, why can't you stop? Just stop already.
I love that. I always love that. Why can't you why can't you just have like a couple drinks?
Right. But that's the thing. It's just like when you're stuck in using, I like ambivalence has taken over. It's not like I'm making this decision. I'm locked in. I can't make a decision. I can't see that I'm not making a decision. I'm not making a decision to keep going, and I'm not making a decision to stop. I'm stuck in this cycle of just like, I need more, I need to stop, I need more.
It's a habit thing. It's like I start my day, I do this thing, then I do that thing. I mean, in my case, and I don't talk about it all that much, but I grew up in the bar business from the time I was like 17 years old, 16 actually. And I mean, I was tending bar by the time I was 18, a bunch of nights a week. And then I went into the sales profession, which was just a different version of that. And it was like, we'll get through the day and then we'll have happy hour. And it was like, that's habit. That's just it's a cycle. It's just not right or wrong. Definitely wrong, actually. But it's trying not to be judgmental here. But the idea is it was less decision at that point, more just habitual, right?
Exactly. Right. And like, I think a lot of that habit comes from so much fear of facing these things that we are not taught to face. As kids, we're even taught to like not make decisions, like when we're 2, we're making decisions all over the place. Just, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then parents are just like, he can't keep doing all this stuff. We got to tell him not to do stuff. And then you stop trusting yourself to make decisions and explore. Right. And we get in this like societal habit of just like, I don't want to make the wrong decision. Right. But really, decisions are not right or wrong. They're just decisions. And we just get so in our heads about like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? While decisions can honestly be as simple as chocolate and vanilla. When you actually make a decision, it's just like, do you intellectualize and figure out the circumstances of chocolate or vanilla? Absolutely not. Right? Like, it's just like, what do I want? It's like, oh, I like the color and I like this and the smell and it's going to make me feel this way. No, you just choose chocolate or vanilla. Right? And so why do we complicate the other decisions of our lives? And so many people on this, and even me, will just be like, because other decisions are more complicated.
Maybe.
Are they?
I don't know. I'm not sure. So you would say no?
Honestly, I think that we have so much fear, and there's so much societal fear about like who we are, how we show up. Are we enough? Are we letting people down? Are we doing these things? As long as you make a decision with integrity based on the values that you want to show up in this world with, there is no wrong decision, because all you do is just like, confidence is about making a choice and knowing that you're still going like, and not worrying about the outcome. Because that outcome does not define you. What defines you is making a decision based on integrity, right? Because you're going to get it wrong. You're going to get it wrong most of the time, because it's not about getting it right or wrong. It's about moving forward and making a choice and living.
I love that, man. It's funny. I'll just the outcome does not define you. You're going to make mistakes. It's funny. My friend Valerie, who we host this other show here on the network called the Professionals Animal Lovers Show, and she used to have a podcast, no video. She'll tell you that I convinced her to get on this network and she was totally against it because she didn't want to be on video. But the irony of the whole thing is she'd asked me to be on her podcast many, many years ago. I was like, absolutely not. And I think I've said it recently on the show. I said, absolutely not. I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that. And I've always been sort of this personality, outgoing, the whole thing. But I was like, I don't want to go on there and say the wrong thing. Now I'm at a point in my life all these years later that no, a lot of the time I'm going to say the wrong thing and it ain't going to be right. But if I say it with compassion and integrity and love, it's okay to make mistakes, man. It's all good. It's all good. Right,
And
Alex?
how we build resilience, right? And then it always comes back to just like, how do I show up and make choices and build a habit of acting courageously and develop resilience? Because resilience isn't about getting hard. It's not about becoming concrete. It's about just like, it's about compassion. It's about vulnerability. And it's about knowing that when I fall, because I will fall, that I'm still me, I'm still good, and getting back up and trying again. That's resilience.
This is awesome. I love all this conversation. When we come back, we're gonna take a quick break. We come back. Why don't we show, you want to show a video?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so let's do that. So we'll come back, we'll set it up, and then we'll just, if we want to talk for a moment or two before the video, then we'll play the video for everybody.
And anybody there, it's just like anybody listening in and not watching, it's all audio. So it's going to be great just to listen to. So don't miss it.
Don't worry, don't miss it. Come back either way. And then the other idea is when you want to check it out later on for the other videos and stuff, it's ofsubstance.org. We'll be right back. Philanthropy in Focus.
Howdy, I am Joseph Franklin McElroy, host of the new podcast, Gateway to the Smokies. It airs on talkradio.nyc every Tuesday night from 6 p.m. to 7. Every episode is dedicated to memorable experiences in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park and surrounding areas. This show features experts and locals who expound upon the richness of culture, history, and adventure that awaits you in the Smokies. Tune in every Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 7 on talkradio.nyc.
Are you passionate about the conversation around racism? Hi, I'm Reverend Dr. TLC, host of the Dismantle Racism Show, which airs every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc. Join me and my amazing guests as we discuss ways to uncover, dismantle, and eradicate racism. That's Thursdays at 11 o'clock a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a small business trying to navigate the COVID-19 related employment laws? Hello, I'm Eric Sauver, employment law, business law attorney, and host of the new radio show, Employment Law Today. On my show, we'll have guests to discuss the common employment law challenges business owners are facing during these trying times. Tune in on Tuesday evenings from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc, now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
Are back. Philanthropy in Focus. Top of the house, just below the roof. I'm in my attic. That's the remix. This is the remix. I feel like Funk Master Flex up here. Shout out to Funk Master Flex. We don't know each other, Flex, but I've always listened to Hot 97 since I'm a little kid. So I don't have all the sound effects like Flex has. I do have fans like Funk Master Flex has. Shout out to Mick again, because Mick is telling me the band Rush said, and I know this song too, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. Mick always coming in with the one-liners and that, because you know what? Art teaches us things. Art tells stories, whether it be Rush or whether it be the work that I Empathize is doing to shine light on this tragedy of human trafficking, whether it be the work that Of Substance is doing to help tell these stories that we've talked about so far. So, Alex, before we show the movie, the video, you want to set it up at all?
Yeah, I just wanted to say real quick, just to give people a better idea of what we're doing, right? Like what we're doing at Of Substance is we're revolutionizing behavioral change, emotional growth, and learning through movies, right? And how we're doing that is we're an innovative nonprofit making premium entertaining mini movies that like rom-coms to thrillers that are 5 to 10 minutes, but delivering them in conjunction with programming and curriculums that help people build the habit of acting courageously and developing resilience to apply to all the conflicts we face in life, whether that's parenting or overcoming substance abuse or being an entrepreneur. And what we believe is that if people can feel more seen, heard, and loved, and remember that we're already enough, then they can improve the way they face those struggles, those challenges, and those conflicts, right, that we encounter each day. And we're committed to long-term, really what we're trying to do is we're looking to enhance the emotional intelligence of humanity, right? Because all of that stems from you and how you feel about you, because our relationships with the world around us, with other people, are contingent upon our relationships with ourselves.
Say that again one more time, because I'd underline that. I'd highlight it if I was reading it. I'd put a star on it. I'd fold the page. So say that again for me.
Our relationships with ourselves and the world around us are contingent upon our relationships with ourselves.
Do the work, gang. Do the work on you. Connect with you. I was watching this. I fall asleep to these things. And last night it was, I don't think I mentioned it, but I mentioned in a coffee meeting I had with a friend of mine this morning. Hey, Dan, shout out to you. Thanks for coffee. I was listening last night to Matthew McConaughey on the Joe Rogan podcast. Now, I don't know. Look, I think McConaughey is such a cool dude. And I think he's even cooler than I thought he was yesterday afternoon, just listening. There was this keynote he did at a college a bunch of years ago, and that kind of keyed me in. But I was speaking to one of my coaches who I work with. And I mentioned this keynote. She goes, Tommy, he's got a great book out, Green Light. And so I had an opportunity to listen to him on Rogan. So, through arts, it's not just a movie. There's after work to plug into, right, Alex?
And that's what we're recognizing, is that like for all of these years, we're trying to use video in education, treatment, and training and support and everything else. But by trying to make it be everything, by being informative and being entertaining, it's neither really successfully. So instead, let the movie do what the movie does. The movie creates an inescapable emotional experience, which allows us to go through something in real time and feel connected, get primed vulnerably. And then by following that up with information, with lessons, with treatment, with therapy, we're then able to attach what we learn in therapy to the emotional memory and the emotional experience we just went through. They're therapeutic tools that are provocative and captivating and approachable, that decrease shame, improve mindset, and help us all overcome our stigmas toward ourselves and each other. So
you're changing the world, man, and I appreciate you doing that. Let's show them. Let's share with everybody so they get a feel of what we're talking about. I am going to share my screen. We're going to share the video, and you just give me a Tommy D. I can see it. Can you see it?
You can see it. I can see it.
If they ain't got two, then don't bring none at all.
You know what I used to do? I used to wear Band-Aids on my fingers, a couple on each hand. And not the regular kind, the kind your kids wear. Looney Tunes, Disney shit, Dumbo, Tinkerbell. And it's not that I cut myself or anything, I wore them so that anytime I'd reach for a drink, they would catch my eye and it would remind me of my little girls. Well, my daughters are not so little anymore. God, anytime they cut their knee or anything, they used to get so pissed at me if they had to use the boring tan Band-Aids. I started buying the kids' ones in bulk. It was, I guess, a type of training in a way. I had to learn how not to drink. I'd see the Band-Aids, I would picture my girls, and I wouldn't take a sip. The Band-Aids, my girls, another day sober. It was classical conditioning, in its simplest form. Except I had to be both Pavlov and the dog. But I had no choice. My girls needed me. They needed me. 2 years. I wore those Band-Aids every single day. And, do you know how many freaking Band-Aids that is? till I finally felt comfortable enough to take them off. That was 6.5 years ago. And now every time I see my hands, the Band-Aids, they're already there. And my girls are there reminding me who I do it for. So yeah, like you said, you know, when you see those ads on the sides of buses or wherever they are that say, you know, imagine your life after addiction. I don't know. I realize how they don't get it. There is no life after addiction. You guys know it's always there with you. It never goes away. And the way I describe it to my kids, I say it's kind of like Peter Pan's shadow. It's always trying to trick you, to get you to do things that you shouldn't. I mean, sometimes I still to this day, I have to stop whatever it is I'm doing and just... And that's okay. It's okay to be an addict. I know I'm stronger for it. Forces you to be smarter, to be vigilant, persistent, present. And it's something we'll all have to manage every single day for the rest of our lives. And we can. But no, it never goes away.
Wow. I'm supposed to keep it together, right? You
So
know,
what's up for you?
I could, I mean, I purposely did not watch that ahead of time because I knew we were going to watch it together today. You know, I didn't think I'd open up like this. But I'll tell you, you know, I stopped drinking when my oldest was 11 months old and my wife was pregnant and with my second child, my son. And at the time it was just like, you know, similar to the gentleman in that video, the movie there, it was just I gotta get to bed before I drink tonight. That was it. It was, I gotta make it through it. You know, I know the program AA and the other anonymouses work very, very well for hundreds of thousands of millions of people. For me, it just wasn't the way to go. I did it on my own, and I said, that's the deal. I just got to get to bed before I have a drink. It was easy, right? It was easy. The concept was simple. Just don't drink before you go to sleep. I think the Band-Aids, you know, the metaphor, but also the literal nature of this man having these Band-Aids on his finger. Even all these years later, obviously, to his point, I could relate to that. I could relate to it only like every day, right? Alex, I mean, what say you, sir?
So, so this is a true story from a guy in my group who was an executive at one of the top computer companies, and he it's not verbatim, but it's there. It's very real, and I thought that was one of the most brilliant things I'd ever heard, and I thought it was beautiful, and it was real, and it was vulnerable, but also very smart. And I just felt like, wow, why do I get to be in this group and hear this thing? I want to bring it to the world for people who also need to hear it in a way that they can hear it differently. And I think that creating this cinematically allows us to not feel patronized and talked at and talked down to, and instead just feel involved and feel connected. And so that's what we're doing here. But I honestly think that, like, even at the end, it's just like, none of these stories are right or wrong. You know, that's the biggest thing about these. These are provocative therapeutic tools. Okay. And it's just like, at the end, he's just like, it creates persistence, you know, confidence. It creates, like, it never goes away. And that moment he has at the end is just like, is he sad? Is he stuck? Is he empowered? I don't know. But that's the thing, is just these pieces are conversation starters that not only start a conversation, but get you. The whole point is the way you just said, I didn't think I was going to get this open and vulnerable today. We deliver these in a lot of different ways. We have a program that's just a live program we call Movies and Conversations, where I come in virtually or in person for corporations, for schools, for universities, for treatment centers, for churches and synagogues. And we just watch a couple of movies and then we talk about them and we facilitate conversations. We have guided conversations where we explore together how differently I can see myself and others and what's possible, And so we do that, but also if you're a therapist or you're in therapy, imagine starting your group or your one-on-one like group or your one-on-one session with Band-Aids, right? And it's just like, it helps for people to drop our guard, right? To feel more connected, to get to the point. But while at the same time, it's just like, it's something that's a way to project ourselves. Art is a reflection of ourselves. You get to see another version and another perspective of yourself in these people, in these characters. That's the thing about movies. You see yourself, no matter who you are, whether you're black, white, Asian,
whether I want
Jewish,
to or
female,
not,
right?
whether I want to or not, right? That's the thing. Like, because all of us, we're looking for that connection to the movie, right? If I watch, I don't know why this movie's coming to me right now, but Wall Street, Gordon Gekko, Bud Fox. Where am I? Am I one of those two guys, right? I can't believe that's the movie that came out of the ether, and that's the one I just came up with. But we project, we put ourselves and see, how does that relate to me? Because isn't that what we do anyway with human beings, right? We're looking for our common ground, which I started this program with, Alex, right? But where's our common ground? So we end up. I mean, look, I didn't finish the thought earlier, but like, I can totally relate to that man. Like, totally relate to that man. Like, I tell you, I shared my story a bit, but I have 4 children. I don't know that had I not made other decisions, I don't know that I have 4 children. Just truth, like just real stuff. So when we talk about, maybe why somebody needed to stop, or why, if you're listening right now, look, there's plenty of opportunities to change and evolve right now. So I'm staring into the camera. If you're looking, this isn't necessarily what the show is, but maybe it is. You have the strength. There's connections. You can connect with a substance. You can connect with me, and we'll connect you to other resources that you might need. There's opportunity there. But I say the reason I stopped drinking and the reason I don't drink now are not exactly the same. But I certainly, even at this juncture in my own journey, I still have to remind myself why I don't do it a lot, like often I have to. So anyway, wasn't planning on going there today, but you know what this show is all about? It's about real. It's about being real. It's about getting real. Alex, you've certainly made me get real today. When we come back from a break, we're going to take one more quick break. When we come back, this is the part of the show where I want to know what you need, what the organization needs. Are there certain relationships? I noticed, as I was mentioning Matthew McConaughey, you kind of nodded and stuff. I don't know if there's connections there. I know you're in Hollywood. Maybe there's, I'm not saying I'm connected to Hollywood folks, but I'm certainly connected here in the nonprofit sector, specifically in New York. And I know that supports as well. So why don't we take a quick break? It'll give you some time to say, here's what we need, Tommy D. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy and Phocus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
In a post-COVID world, you may have many unanswered questions regarding your health. Are you looking to live a healthier lifestyle? Do you have a desire to learn more about mental health and enhance your quality of life? Or do you just want to participate in self-understanding and awareness? I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, and each Thursday, I will tackle these questions and work to enlighten you. Tune in every Thursday at 5 p.m. on talkradio.nyc, and I will be frank about health to advocate for all of us.
Calling all pet lovers.
Pet Avengers, assemble!
On the Professionals and Animal Lovers show, we believe the bond between animal lovers is incredibly strong. It mirrors that bond between pets and their owners. Through this program, we come together to learn, educate, and advocate.
Join us live every Wednesday at 2 p.m. at talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
And some of you might know this. It's always a dream, looking at Ray Combs on Family Feud, Pat Sajak on the wheel, right? Always wanted to be a game show host, guys. I always did. There was this guy, Mr. Game Show, was like a toy when we were kids. It was like a little, it wasn't really a robot, but it was just like a little statue, and he would move, and between that little robot, between those guys I just mentioned, and Guy Smiley from Sesame Street, used to do like the Man on the Street, Guy Smiley with like a bad suit on. That was like what I wanted to do. So here in the lightning round of the program, Alex, it's a bit of a game show. What do you need? Who can we connect you with? We got about 7 minutes or so to dive into it. Tell us about that.
Okay, thanks. Hi, everybody. How's it going? So, here's what we need. Like always, money, right? So we're looking for money. We're looking for partners. And we're looking for collaborators. And what I mean by that is just like, we're looking to raise $1 million in the next year to make 6 more films. We're looking for, we're not doing small campaigns. We're looking for higher net worth people who are just like, love what you're doing. We really want to support. We really want to be part of, and who want to attach their legacy to our impact. So we're looking for those communities who have been touched by mental health, addiction, overdose, trauma, who just see what we're doing and really want to be a part of it and move it forward. So we're really looking, that's what we're looking for in the funding space. But the coolest thing about what we do is just like, we have 8 films on the website. We want you to go check them out. They are, you go to the website, ofsubstance.org, you make a free members account, and you are able to access all of our films. We're promoting these most to mental health professionals. These are tools for mental health professionals to enhance engagement, deepen absorption, and expedite outcomes with the people they serve, their clients and their patients. We're looking to get them into rehabs. We're looking to get them into private practices. We just want people using them. And in there, we are also going to shortly be adding clinical guides and more curriculums to help professionals facilitate those as best as possible. We're looking for people to sign up. We want people using them. Please let anybody you know in the mental health field know about our films so that they can use them. They're there to help. The other thing I talked earlier about movies and conversations, our live experience. We are doing one for 12,000 employees of a global pharmaceutical and mental health company in September, which is fantastic. It's to help people connect with themselves and others, their beliefs and what's possible. At a pharmaceutical company, it's to help their employees feel more connected to the why they're doing everything they're doing every day, while also at other corporations, whether it's financial or insurance or whatever, it's still just like, there are so many resources that companies are offering to their employees now to help with mental health struggles, addiction, trauma. However, there's still so much shame and stigma around it. Our programming can come into your company and help people feel more connected, feel less judged, even personally judged and self-judged, so that they might take that step and use those tools. So we're looking for companies who want to bring us in, and we can help improve your employees and the way they use their resources. The other thing is we have 8 movies. We have 2 more about to be released, And then we have an 11th one that is actually now being supported by MTV and is actually a horror rom-com about bipolar disorder. That's an actual monster movie, and it is fun and awesome. But the vision of what we're doing is more films, more representation from ethnicity to religion, but also struggles. And so we want to work and collaborate with other organizations, individuals, companies who have a community, have an audience, have somebody specific they're serving, come together and make a film that helps serve your organization, serve your community and the people you serve. We are currently working together with an organization down in Atlanta that serves first responders struggling with addiction, mental health, and trauma. And we have a fundraiser down in Augusta, Georgia in November. That's an 80s rock like benefit concert to raise money for the film that we're going to make that's going to specifically focus on first responders. So that's how we're doing this, and we want to work with you. We're looking for friends. So if you have a community, if you're serving a certain audience or demographic, and you think that like working with a substance and making a film to help your demographic would be useful, reach out. We want to hear from you. We want to work with you. We want to meet you.
I love it. Thank you, Alex. Well positioned. Well done. Let me ask you, I want to know, do you have a date or information about that event, in Augusta yet?
Yeah, it's November 15th. It's called Rock for Hope. And that's what I have right now.
Why is it down there? Why Augusta?
That's where they're based.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
So yeah.
All right, awesome. All right, we are, as we do on this show every time, we run out of words. Excuse me. We run out of time before we run out of words. I never run out of words. Alex, I appreciate you. I appreciate this newfound friendship we have. I want to figure out a way to get down to Augusta that weekend. I'm assuming November 15th is. I only have about 75 introductions I want to make for you from what we just talked about, what I just heard you say the last 3 minutes. And as I don't talk about on the show very much, is we own an employee benefits agency, the Vanguard Insurance Agency, my partners and I, and we're having conversations around EAP or employee. Oh my God, I just forgot what EAP just stands for. How funny is that? We have mental health being such an important conversation right now. Employee assistance programs. We're having these conversations. I see an application for doing this with our clients. We'll talk more about that, you and I, offline, as they say. Next week on the program, I want to just shout out my friend, Maheen Kaleem from Grant Makers for Girls of Color. Maheen is an incredible leader in the nonprofit sector. She has an incredible background in social justice. She served as program officer for the Novo Foundation, where she managed the foundation's work to end commercial sexual exploitation and led to the development of the Life Story Grants, which was a $10 million commitment to support projects that shined a light on the tragedy of sexual trafficking. And we met through the Institute for Nonprofit Practice. If I didn't take that coursework that I told you all about, if I didn't make these connections, I don't have all these special friends. So Maheen will be here next week. Grant Makers for Girls of Color. Alex Kaplan, so jazzed. Dylan, thanks for all the work you did behind the scenes. Thank you, brother Alex. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, guys. Tommy, thanks for what you do.